Golden rays of sunlight bounced off the massive crystalline ships that hung silently in Earth's sky. People around the world stopped in their tracks, their phones raised to capture this historic moment. Cars screeched to a halt on busy highways, and children pressed their faces against classroom windows, pointing at the strange vessels that had appeared without warning. In Seoul's Advanced Research Center, Dr. Han Jae-won's hands trembled as he adjusted his microscope. The sudden alert from their deep space monitoring systems had interrupted his regular research. Now, standing before the massive wall of screens, he watched as the first alien ships took position around Earth's orbit. Their vessels looked like cut diamonds, with smooth faces that reflected sunlight in rainbow patterns across the cities below. "Sir, we're picking up signals," one of his assistants called out, her voice shaking with excitement. "They're trying to communicate." The research center burst into action. Teams of linguists and communication experts rushed to their stations, while military officials hurried in through the secured doors. Dr. Han had spent his entire career studying the possibility of alien life. Now, faced with actual proof, he felt strangely calm. The first images from the ships showed beings of various shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human, while others defied description. They called themselves the Galactic Council, a union of spacefaring races that governed this part of space. Their message came through in perfect English, translated by their advanced systems. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, Ambassador Kim Soo-jin sat straight-backed in her chair as the alien transmission played on the large screen. The Council's message was clear. Earth was to submit to their authority immediately. They spoke of peace and prosperity, of technological advancement and cultural exchange. But their words carried an underlying threat that made many diplomats shift uncomfortably in their seats. "We should respond carefully," Ambassador Kim advised the emergency session. "They clearly have superior technology, but we cannot simply surrender Earth's sovereignty without discussion." Her words carried weight. She had handled many difficult negotiations in her career, but nothing could have prepared her for this. The UN Assembly agreed to draft a careful response. They would welcome peaceful contact while asserting Earth's right to self-determination. Ambassador Kim worked through the night with her team, choosing each word with utmost care. The fate of humanity might depend on how they handled these crucial first hours. But they never got the chance to send their message. The attack came without warning. Later, they would learn about the Dorkai faction, a militant group within the Council that saw Earth as nothing more than resources to be claimed. Their leader, High Commander Vex, had grown impatient with diplomatic protocols. The first strikes hit major cities across the globe. Seoul's skyscrapers shook as energy beams cut through the morning air. In New York, people ran screaming as strange aircraft appeared between the buildings. London's famous landmarks became targets, while Sydney's harbor filled with the wreckage of destroyed ships. Dr. Han watched in horror from his laboratory as Seoul's streets filled with panic. The alien weapons were like nothing they had ever seen, beams of pure energy that could slice through buildings like butter. Military jets scrambled to respond, but their missiles seemed useless against the invaders' advanced shields. In the chaos of those first hours, humanity learned harsh lessons about their place in the galaxy. The Dorkai attacks were precise and devastating. They targeted military installations, government buildings, and key infrastructure. It was clear they had studied Earth thoroughly before striking. Ambassador Kim found herself trapped in the UN building's underground bunker, along with representatives from dozens of nations. As reports of destruction poured in from around the world, she realized that humanity's first contact with alien life had turned into a nightmare. The carefully worded diplomatic response she had prepared now seemed naive. But the aliens had made a crucial mistake. They expected Earth to crumble quickly under their superior firepower. They didn't understand human nature, how humanity had spent its entire history fighting and surviving. They didn't know that Earth's nations, despite their differences, could unite in the face of a common threat. As the first day of the invasion drew to a close, something unexpected happened. Earth's military forces, instead of being destroyed, began to adapt. They noticed patterns in the alien attacks, weaknesses in their strategies. Human scientists, working frantically in hidden bunkers, started analyzing the alien technology from debris that fell during the battles. Earth's nations had kept these developments secret even from each other, each working on their own versions of advanced technology. Now, united against a common enemy, they shared their innovations freely. Chinese quantum targeting systems merged with Brazilian stealth technology. Indian energy weapons combined with Canadian force field designs. The Dorkai's initial advantage began to slip away. Their tactics, while advanced, were rigid and predictable. They had no answer for humanity's centuries of warfare experience, now enhanced by technology that could match their own. They're retreating from Shanghai, Lee reported via video link. 3 of their ships destroyed, 2 falling back to orbit. Minimal casualties on our side. Park shared the news with the other command centers around the world. Humanity's counterattack was gaining momentum. The aliens had expected to find a primitive, divided planet. Instead, they faced a unified species that had turned its long history of conflict into a strength. "We're picking up communications between the Dorkai ships," an intelligence officer announced. "They're calling for reinforcements. They sound scared." The bunker fell silent for a moment. The idea that they could frighten these advanced aliens seemed almost unreal, but the evidence was there on the screens. Burning alien ships, failed invasion forces, and Earth's defenders pushing back on every front. "Send word to all commands," Park ordered. "Continue the counteroffensive. Show them that attacking Earth was the biggest mistake they could have made." As the day progressed, more victories were reported. The quantum shields proved effective against every weapon the Dorkai deployed. Earth's combined forces, sharing strategies and resources freely, demonstrated a flexibility that the aliens couldn't match. Lee's fleet had grown as more ships joined her command. They hunted down Dorkai vessels trying to escape Earth's orbit, their quantum weapons cutting through alien defenses like paper. The invaders learned too late that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology, but its ability to adapt and work together. Signal from the Dorkai flagship. An operator called out. "They're requesting a ceasefire." Park shared a look with the other commanders in the bunker. The aliens who had arrived so arrogantly, expecting an easy conquest, now wanted to talk. Humanity had not just survived their attack. It had turned the tables completely. "Tell them we'll discuss terms," Park replied. "But first, they'll need to explain themselves to the full Galactic Council. Earth won't be satisfied with just dragging them away. We want justice." As night fell over Asia, the quantum shields continued to shine in the darkness, a testament to humanity's resilience and ingenuity. The Dorkai had united Earth in a way nothing else could have, and they would soon learn the full consequences of their actions. The massive space station of the Galactic Council hung like a jeweled spider web against the backdrop of stars. Its crystalline spires and glowing walkways house representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations. Today, every chamber and corridor buzzed with excitement as council members gathered for an emergency session. Council leader Trell adjusted his ceremonial robes as he prepared to address the assembly. His species' 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of confidence among his kind. The Dorkai invasion of Earth should have been a simple matter to resolve. Another primitive world brought under council control through superior force. "The chamber is ready, sir," an aide whispered, their translucent forms shimmering in the artificial light. "All members are present." The great hall of the council was a marvel of alien architecture. Seats rose in spiraling tiers, each designed to accommodate the varied forms of member species. Some delegates floated in tanks of special atmosphere, while others required gravity adjustments just to attend. "Members of the Galactic Council," Trell began, his translated voice reaching every corner of the chamber, "we gather today to address the Earth situation. The Dorkai intervention has." An aide rushed forward, interrupting his carefully prepared speech. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Earth." The massive screens that wrapped around the chamber's walls flickered to life. Instead of the expected surrender message, they showed a single human figure. Ambassador Choi Yun-sung stood tall in her formal diplomatic uniform, decorated with medals from her military service. "This is unexpected," Trell said, his inner eyelids flickering with annoyance. Earth was supposed to submit their surrender, not send a representative. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Many delegates had never seen a human before. Some whispered about how primitive they looked, with only 2 eyes and no natural armor or enhanced abilities. A few made dismissive gestures with their various appendages. "Honorable Council," Ambassador Choi's voice was clear and strong, transmitted perfectly by Earth's quantum communication systems. "I request permission to address the full assembly in person." Trell's aide leaned close. "Sir, they've already docked. Their ship, it's using technology we've never seen before." The council chamber erupted in confused discussions. Earth wasn't supposed to have ships capable of reaching the station. They weren't supposed to have anything beyond simple chemical rockets. "This is highly irregular," one delegate shouted. "They're a pre-contact civilization." Ambassador Choi's image remained steady on the screen. "We'll be entering the chamber in 5 minutes. I trust the Council's famous hospitality extends to all spacefaring races." The subtle challenge in her words wasn't lost on Trell. By using the term spacefaring races, she was asserting Earth's new status. His inner eyelids flickered faster, a sign of stress his species couldn't hide. When the chamber doors opened, Ambassador Choi walked in with measured steps. Her uniform gleamed under the artificial lights, each medal telling a story of Earth's conflicts. Behind her walked 2 aides, carrying data tablets that hummed with quiet power. "The human delegation is recognized," Trell announced, following protocol despite his unease, "though we expected different representatives." "You expected surrender," Choi replied, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. "That was your first mistake." More murmurs filled the air. Some delegates activated their translation devices multiple times, sure they had misheard. No new species had ever dared to speak so boldly in these halls. "The Dorkite were acting on behalf of the Council," Trell stated, trying to regain control of the situation. "Their intervention was mento." "Their intervention was illegal," Choi interrupted. "And their defeat was complete." The chamber fell silent. Even the delegates who needed bubbling tanks to breathe seemed to hold their breath. "That's impossible," a Dorkay representative finally spoke up. "Our forces were superior in every way." Ambassador Choi smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Would you like to see the battle footage? We recorded everything, including your ships retreating from our quantum weapons." The words "quantum weapons" caused an immediate reaction. Council members turned to their information devices, checking databases, sharing worried looks. Earth wasn't supposed to have such technology. They were supposed to be centuries away from such developments. "We came here today," Choi continued, "not to surrender, but to demand accountability. The Galactic Council claims to represent civilization in this sector of space, yet you authorized an unprovoked attack on our world." "We did not authorize," Trell began. "Then you failed to control your members," Choi cut him off. "Either way, the Council bears responsibility." As she spoke, her aides activated their tablets. Holographic displays filled the chamber, showing the battles that had taken place on Earth. Council members watched in shocked silence as human forces, united and armed with advanced technology, drove back the Dorkai invasion. "Impossible," someone whispered, but the evidence was undeniable. "Earth stands ready to take its place among spacefaring civilizations," Ambassador Choi announced. "But first, we will discuss reparations for the unlawful attack on our world." And then, she paused, looking directly at Trell, "we will discuss reform of the Council itself." The chamber erupted in chaos. In thousands of years, no new species had ever entered the Council on their own terms. But as the delegates argued and shouted, they couldn't help but watch the battle footage playing above them. showing just how much they had underestimated humanity. The Grand Chamber's iridescent floor reflected Ambassador Choi's steps like ripples in a still pond. Above her, thousands of alien faces watched from their designated seats, some breathing through special atmosphere filters, others floating in gravity-controlled pods. The air smelled of strange spices and electromagnetic fields that kept various species comfortable in the shared space. She walked alone, her formal Earth uniform standing out among the exotic clothing and natural coverings of the council members. Each step echoed through the vast chamber, a steady rhythm that matched her heartbeat. Her hands, clasped behind her back, held a small quantum drive containing Earth's evidence. Some of the alien delegates whispered to each other, their translators creating a soft buzz of background noise. A few pointed with their various appendages, clearly discussing the simple bipedal form of the human before them. One floating creature, composed mostly of gas, changed colors rapidly in what their species considered laughter. Choi reached the speaker's platform, a raised dais that adjusted its height and configuration to match the biology of whoever stood upon it. As she stepped onto it, the surface shifted, creating a perfect height for a human speaker. The council members watched this simple adaptation with surprise, their technology acknowledging humanity as equals. "Honorable Council," she began, her voice carried perfectly to every corner of the chamber by advanced acoustics. "I come before you today, not as a supplicant, not as a representative of a conquered world, but as the voice of humanity." Several delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. This wasn't the tone they had expected from a species that had just faced invasion. "For thousands of years," Choi continued, "humanity has looked to the stars and wondered if we were alone. We dreamed of first contact, of joining a galactic community. We imagined sharing knowledge, culture, and friendship with other intelligent beings." She paused, letting her words sink in. The translation systems worked perfectly, conveying not just her words, but the emotion behind them to each species in a way they could understand. Instead, her voice hardened, "Our first contact with your civilization came in the form of unprovoked violence. The Dorkai ships appeared above our cities without warning, without provocation, without even the courtesy of true diplomatic exchange." The Dorkai representatives bristled, their scaled skin changing patterns in agitation. But before they could protest, Choi activated her quantum drive. The chamber filled with holographic images, cities under attack, civilians running in terror, the first devastating strikes against Earth's infrastructure. "Look carefully," she commanded, her voice cutting through the shocked murmurs. "Look at what was done in the name of your council. Look at the faces of children seeing their homes destroyed. Look at the hospitals that were targeted. Look at the schools that burned." The images change, showing the destruction in perfect clarity. Some council members turned away, unable to watch. Others leaned forward, their various sensory organs fixed on the evidence before them. "We did not come seeking mercy," Choi declared, her voice rising. "We did not come to beg for peace. We came to demand justice." New images appeared. Earth's unified defense forces driving back the invaders, quantum shields deflecting alien weapons, human ships pursuing Dorkai vessels into orbit. The council chamber filled with gasps and exclamations in 100 different languages. "You thought us primitive," she continued. "You thought us weak and divided. You thought we would surrender or fall. You were wrong on every count." She stepped forward on the platform, her posture straight and proud. "Humanity has spent its history learning, adapting, and yes, fighting. We have made art from our struggles and science from our conflicts. We have turned our divisions into strength through unity in the face of common threats." The holographic display showed Earth's nations working together. Chinese scientists collaborating with American engineers, Russian soldiers fighting alongside European forces, African commanders leading combined fleets. And now, Choi's voice filled with steel, "We stand before you not as victims, but as equals. We demand recognition of our sovereignty. We demand reparations for the attacks. We demand reform of the very system that allowed this atrocity to occur. Some council members stood up in protest, but their voices died as the final images appeared. Earth's quantum ships, more advanced than anything the council possessed, holding position around the station. We offer friendship to those who treat us with respect, Choi concluded. We offer cooperation to those who acknowledge our rights. But to those who would threaten our home, she let the images of defeated Dorkai ships speak for themselves. The chamber fell into complete silence. In all its history, the Galactic Council had never faced such a moment. A species they had tried to conquer was now dictating terms to them, backed by technology they barely understood. The choice is yours, Ambassador Choi said quietly, but her words carried to every corner of the vast chamber. Will you embrace Earth as equals and accept responsibility for your actions? Or will you force us to demonstrate further why attacking humanity was the greatest mistake your council has ever made? The silence stretched on as thousands of alien beings contemplated her words, and the future of galactic civilization hung in the balance. In a secure room adjacent to the council chamber, Kang Hai-jin watched multiple screens with unwavering attention. Her fingers moved swiftly across a holographic keyboard, coordinating with teams back on Earth. As Chief Intelligence Officer, she had spent months preparing for this moment, gathering evidence that would shake the Galactic Council to its core. Through a secure quantum channel, she sent the first data packet to Ambassador Choi's presentation system. The council chamber's massive displays switched to show intercepted communications between council members and Dorkai commanders. Play the Centauri recording. She instructed her team through a subvocal communicator. The screens flickered, showing a secret meeting that took place 3 months before the invasion. In the council chamber, gasps and angry outbursts erupted as council leader Trell's voice filled the room. Earth's resources are too valuable to leave in the hands of primitives. The Dorkai solution is acceptable. Kang allowed herself a small smile as she watched the chaos unfold through the chamber's security feeds. The council members who had plotted against Earth were now shifting uncomfortably in their seats, their various biological signs showing stress and fear. Second packet, she commanded. New evidence appeared. Detailed plans to strip Earth of its minerals, water, and biological resources. The documents bore the signatures of 12 high-ranking council members, each one hoping to profit from humanity's destruction. Ambassador Choi's voice cut through the uproar. The corruption runs deep, honored members. Your own leaders plan to sacrifice an entire civilization for profit. Kang's team had discovered this conspiracy during the first days of the invasion. While the Dorkai attacked Earth's cities, her cyber warfare units had penetrated their communication systems. What they found was beyond anything they had expected, a trail of corruption leading to the highest levels of galactic governance. Show them what we learned, she transmitted to Choi. The chamber's displays changed again, this time showing Earth's laboratories. Scientists worked on captured Dorkai technology, not just understanding it, but improving it. The quantum shields that had defeated the invasion weren't copied from alien designs. They were human innovations built on basic principles learned from studying Dorkai systems. Impossible. A Dorkai representative shouted. No species could advance so quickly. Kang sent another data burst. The screen showed human engineers dismantling alien weapons, rebuilding them with Earth-made components, then enhancing their capabilities. What had taken other species centuries to develop, humanity had mastered in months. Your own arrogance blinded you, Ambassador Choi announced to the stunned council. You assumed that because we hadn't reached the stars, we couldn't understand your technology. You were wrong. From her control room, Kang monitored the reactions of various council members. Some showed signs of fear, others anger, and a few, particularly those from younger spacefaring races, displayed what their species considered approval. Final sequence, she instructed her team. The evidence that appeared next caused even the most composed council members to react with shock. Detailed files showed how certain council factions had been manipulating younger civilizations for centuries, using the same tactics they had attempted on Earth. This isn't just about Earth. Choi's voice rang clear. This is about every species that has suffered under corrupt leadership. Every civilization that was exploited instead of welcomed. Every world that was stripped of resources instead of being offered true membership in the galactic community. Kang watched as the corrupt council members tried to speak, to defend themselves. But with each protest, she released more evidence. Financial records, secret communications, hidden agreements. The web of corruption unraveled before the entire assembly. We could have destroyed this evidence, Ambassador Choi continued. We could have used it to blackmail individual members. Instead, we choose to share it openly, because the entire council deserves to know the truth. Through her monitors, Kang saw younger species representatives beginning to gather together, forming impromptu alliances. The corrupt old guard was losing control, and a new order was forming before her eyes. Humanity comes before you not just as an injured party seeking justice, Choi declared, but as a force for change. We possess technology that rivals or exceeds your own. We have proven we cannot be conquered. Now we offer something more valuable, the opportunity to reform this council into what it always should have been. Kang sent one final data packet, plans for a restructured council, one with checks and balances, one that would protect young civilizations instead of exploiting them. The display showed a new future for galactic civilization, with Earth playing a key role. In her secure room, Kang finally allowed herself to relax slightly. Months of work, countless hours of decryption and analysis, teams of intelligence officers working around the clock. It had all led to this moment. The corrupt council members who had fought to profit from Earth's destruction were about to learn a harsh lesson about humanity's capacity for both justice and mercy. As the council chamber erupted in discussions and demands for immediate reform, Kang sent a simple message to Ambassador Choi. Phase 1 complete. The galaxy will never be the same. General Yoon Ta-jun stood on the observation deck of Earth's newest warship, the EDS Defender, as it approached the designated testing area near Jupiter. The massive gas giant provided a dramatic backdrop for what would become a historic demonstration of human military power. All systems ready, General, his aide reported, checking the final diagnostics on a holographic display. The Council observation vessels are in position. Through the ship's massive viewport, Yoon could see the alien ships hanging in space. Representatives from every major council race had come to witness the demonstration. After the revelations of corruption and the failed invasion, they needed to understand exactly what humanity was capable of. Begin the demonstration, Yoon ordered, his voice calm but carrying authority earned through decades of military service. Show them why Earth cannot be conquered. The first test target appeared. An automated drone built to the exact specifications of a Dorkai warship. The council observers watched as it powered up its weapons, the same weapons that had initially terrorized Earth's cities. Activate quantum shields, Yoon commanded. The Defender's shields flickered to life, but they looked different from anything the council races had seen before. Instead of the standard energy barrier, the shield appeared as a subtle distortion in space itself, bending light around the ship in strange ways. The drone fired its most powerful weapon. The council observers leaned forward, expecting to see at least some damage. Instead, the energy blast simply disappeared into the quantum field, absorbed completely. Now, Yoon said quietly, show them our response. The Defender's main weapon array came online. Unlike the crude energy weapons used by most species, Earth's quantum cannons operated on principles that many council races had thought impossible. The ship fired a single shot. The drone didn't just explode, it ceased to exist, the very atoms of its structure separated by forces that the council scientists barely understood. Several alien observers physically recoiled from their viewing ports. Second phase, Yoon ordered. Multiple drones appeared now, attacking in formation. They used tactics that had proven successful in thousands of space battles between council races, but Earth's response showed centuries of warfare experience applied to space combat. The Defender moved in ways that should have been impossible for a ship its size. It anticipated attacks before they were launched, its quantum computers calculating probable enemy actions faster than thought. Each counterattack was precise, efficient, and devastatingly effective. How? One of the Council observers transmitted, their message translated for all to hear. How did you develop such capabilities so quickly? Yoon activated a communication channel. Humanity has spent its history fighting, learning, and adapting. While you saw us as primitives because we hadn't reached the stars, we were developing combat doctrine that surpassed anything in your experience. To demonstrate his point, he ordered the next phase. The Defender launched smaller craft, fighters that combined Earth's best aerial combat experience with advanced technology. They moved like no space fighters the Council had ever seen, using maneuvers developed over centuries of atmospheric combat. Your species fight in straight lines, Yoon explained as his fighters destroyed drone after drone. You never had to deal with gravity and air resistance in your military development. We learned warfare in 3 dimensions from our very beginning. The demonstration continued, each phase showing new aspects of Earth's military capabilities. Quantum torpedoes that could phase through standard shields. Electronic warfare systems that could shut down alien computers instantly. Tactical systems that learned and adapted during combat. But most importantly, Yoon continued, we understand something you forgot long ago. The warrior's spirit. Technology is just a tool. The true strength of any military force lies in the hearts and minds of those who serve. To prove his point, he ordered his crew to perform increasingly complex maneuvers and attacks, showing how human intuition and experience combined with advanced technology created something beyond mere mechanical efficiency. The Council observers watched in silence as Earth's forces demonstrated capabilities that many had thought impossible. The corrupt Council members who had planned to exploit Earth now understood the full magnitude of their mistake. This demonstration, Yoon announced, is not meant as a threat. It is a reminder that humanity will defend itself, and a promise that we will help defend others who have suffered under corruption and exploitation. As if to emphasize his words, the Defender powered down its weapons but kept its shields active. A perfect balance of power and restraint that sent a clear message to the watching Council members. Earth stands ready to join the galactic community, Yoon concluded, but we join as equals, bringing not just our technology, but our experience, our determination, and our understanding of both war and peace. The demonstration ended, but its impact would ripple through the galaxy. The Council races had seen not just advanced technology, but a completely different approach to warfare and defense. They had witnessed the culmination of humanity's long history of conflict, refined and enhanced by quantum science. As the observation ships prepared to return to the Council station, Yoon allowed himself a small smile. The tables had truly turned. Earth was no longer a primitive world to be conquered. It had become a power that would help reshape the galaxy. The corrupt Council members who had planned to exploit Earth now faced not just sanctions, but the knowledge that they had awakened something far beyond their control. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same. 6 months after Earth's dramatic confrontation with the Galactic Council, Ambassador Choi sat in her new office aboard the reformed Council's central station. The room, once decorated with cold crystalline structures, now displayed a blend of human and alien art, a symbol of the changes sweeping through galactic civilization. She reviewed the latest draft of the new charter on her quantum tablet. Earth had fought hard for these changes, using not just its military strength, but its diplomatic experience to reshape interstellar relations. Outside her window, ships from hundreds of worlds moved in careful patterns, their crews still adapting to the new protocols Earth had helped establish. Ambassador, her aide called through the communication system. The First Contact Committee is ready for their session. Kim Do-yeon, the architect of the new First Contact protocols, stood before the gathered representatives. Her work had transformed how the galaxy approached emerging civilizations. No longer would advanced species simply appear and demand submission. Each new contact would be carefully managed, with respect and understanding as guiding principles. We were lucky, Kim explained to the committee. Earth had the strength to resist invasion. But how many other civilizations suffered because the old council failed to protect them? This ends today. The new protocols were comprehensive. Any species making contact with a developing civilization would first need approval from a diverse committee. Cultural exchange would precede any technological sharing. Military action against new worlds was expressly forbidden. In Seoul's Advanced Research Center, Dr. Han Jo-won walked through the halls of the newly established interspecies cultural exchange program. Alien students learned alongside human ones, each sharing their world's history and perspectives. The facility that had once tracked unknown objects in space now built bridges between civilizations. Today's lesson, he announced to a class that included beings from 12 different worlds, is about understanding cultural context. Earth's history teaches us that misunderstandings between cultures can lead to conflict, but they can also lead to growth when handled with wisdom. The changes weren't limited to Earth. Across the galaxy, younger species who had suffered under the old council's corruption found their voices heard for the first time. Earth's example had shown them that technological advancement didn't have to mean losing their unique cultural perspectives. Ambassador Choi's team had worked tirelessly to ensure the new council structure prevented the concentration of power that had led to corruption. Decisions now required consensus from species at all levels of development. The old guard who had once dominated council politics found themselves having to adapt to a more democratic galaxy. This is not just about preventing another Earth scenario, Choi explained during a crucial council session. This is about building a galactic community that lives up to its highest ideals. We humans have learned through bitter experience that power must be balanced with wisdom, strength with compassion. Dr. Han's cultural exchange program became a model for similar institutions across the galaxy. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion or contempt began to understand their shared challenges and aspirations. Earth's long history of overcoming cultural differences proved invaluable in this process. Each species brings something unique to our community, he told his students. Earth's gift was not just our technology or military strength, but our understanding of how to grow through adversity, how to learn from conflicts rather than be destroyed by them. The reformed council headquarters itself reflected the new order, where once it had been designed to intimidate with displays of advanced technology. Now it celebrated the diversity of galactic life. Gardens from 1,000 worlds grew alongside technological marvels, showing how nature and progress could coexist. Kim Do-yeon's first contact protocols faced their first test when long-range sensors detected signs of an industrial civilization in a nearby spiral arm. Instead of sending warships or demands for submission, the Council dispatched cultural observers and xenoanthropologists to study and understand before any contact was made. "We will not repeat the mistakes of the past," she declared as the mission launched. "This species will join our community when they are ready, and on their own terms." Ambassador Choi watched all these changes with quiet satisfaction. The galaxy was transforming, not through force, but through the same principles that had helped humanity survive its own turbulent history: adaptation, understanding, and the wisdom to learn from past mistakes. As another day ended on the council station, she looked out at the stars and smiled. Humanity had not just survived first contact, they had helped create something new and beautiful. The galaxy was no longer a place of predator and prey, of advanced species exploiting developing ones. It had become a true community, where strength and wisdom walked hand in hand toward a better future for all. Dr. Han, teaching his final class of the day, summed it up perfectly. The stars were never meant to be conquered. They were meant to be explored, understood, and shared. That is humanity's gift to the galaxy, not our power, but our perspective on how to use it wisely. The new galactic order was not perfect, but it was fair, just, and constantly evolving. And that, perhaps, was the greatest victory of all.